Well, hi everyone. Well, guess what? We are back again and continuing with more of videos by request. Excuse me. And the next one I want to do is interesting in the sense that I've had actually about 4 or 5 people get a hold of me in the last little while, and they've been asking my input on the sexual excursions in the etheric planes of twin flames. And of course, I'm all ears for that one. You know, there's nothing like humping and bumping in the etheric planes. Well, you're not limited to any type of form. You can have a great body, you can have a small body, you can have a big body, you can have whatever you want, kind of deal. So we're going to give it a bash here and see if we can pinpoint it in some way. All right. First of all, before I do that, is many of you heard me say that the concept of love, relationship, and sexuality is changing in our reality and is going to continue to change. And one of the things going on the planet, is you may have noticed, is sexuality in three-dimensional reality has become very much similar to a combat sport. All right. Pretty soon, because of sexually transmitted diseases, it will be necessary to wear a full body condom, probably, to initiate any kind of sexual encounter with anybody. And then we have all of the taboos, the restrictions, the belief systems, the guilts, and the indoctrination from our peers, indoctrination from here and there and everywhere. And then we have everyone's preference to take into consideration, everyone's sexual orientation to take into consideration, and we have all of the belief systems built around each one of those, and the confusion that goes on. And then what happens is we have all sorts of forms of sexual abuse going on. We have created in this planet pedophiles abundantly. So you can see that there's room for some serious improvement in the manifestation of sexual energy. And the other thing that comes into play here is take into consideration that one of the things that most of you have experienced, I think, unless I'm mistaken, is that with the awakening of the heart center chakra and the awakening of the Kundalini energy, nowadays usually stimulated by another person, and usually this person now, traditionally according to the magnificent obsession on the planet, is usually designated as a twin flame. And the sexual energy goes right off the chart. And when it goes right off the chart, one's manifestations, one belief systems, one behavior patterns of your sexuality comes roaring out like a dragon in heat. And what are you going to do? You either express them, or you contain them, or you learn to flow with the ebb of the creative energy as it's moving up from its base expression of sexuality into the higher realms of what's going on. And I want to talk about the higher realms of what's going on at the moment. As some of you have already found out, a great many of you, you can, and I'm one of them, can experience an orgasm all by yourself without having a sexual contact with anybody. All right. And I discovered it, I believe, when I was about, 40, 45, 46, in a meditation group. And I was leading it. And unfortunately, and it's still unfortunate, we have a terrible imbalance in the spiritual community as of yet. It's unfortunate. But we have more women than we have men. So we have an incredible amount of feminine energy in the spiritual community. And at one point, this may be a good thing, but now it's creating more imbalances. So what happened at that particular point in time is teaching a class, paying attention to the class, whatever. I had an odd experience one night where I found myself in the meditation, not in the meditation, but talking, giving a topic I was talking about, as all of a sudden I felt a very strong movement of sexual energy. And here I am trying to give a talk and looking like a horny rabbit, I would think. And all of a sudden what happened is I didn't do it intentionally. I kind of pulled in on the rectum area kind of thing to see if I could move and get comfortable. And all of a sudden, all of that sexual energy shot right up my spine. And the next thing I know, I'm having an orgasm in my head, right in the middle of my head, right smack in the middle. And it was almost like this little penis in my head. I guess that's maybe the expression where dickhead came from. I don't know. All right. This is like a penis in my head starting having an orgasm. And it was like a water fountain flowing and backflowing through the body. And with a little luck and some focusing, I found after a while I was able to do it at will. And I spent a lot of time in meditation having brain orgasms. And I can assure you, if there's one thing that I've learned about sexuality in the etheric realm, while physical sex has all of the conditions, belief systems, ideologies, philosophies, difficulties, social diseases, condoms, birth control, and everything else that one must put on or put with or get with or do beforehand of participating, I can assure you that sexuality in the etheric realm is far superior to 3D sex. All right, I know some people will say, oh, I'll take a good old hide the wiener situation every day. No. You have no idea what you're talking about. And once you've experienced it in the higher realms, you'll understand what I'm talking about. All right? And what happens is, in the etheric realm, when this happened, and like I said, this happened to me personally, and I thought I was something wrong with my brain. I actually was considered going to the doctor and telling him that I was having orgasms in my head. And then I thought about what I would say to him, and I figured, no, I don't think that's a good plan either. All right. One does not want to go to the doctor and tell them you're having orgasms in your head. You definitely could find yourself in a round room and eating some kind of Fruit Loops and bananas on a consistent basis, and I was not ready to go to that page. So I practiced it on my own, and then one day I found another gentleman in the group was starting to have the same experience. And here's where it came into play, and I am going to do this. This guy was nervous about the whole thing, all right? Very uncomfortable with the whole thing because it was happening spontaneous to him. And with a little bit of hindsight, I kind of asked him about his background. I found he was very religious, all right? He came from a very religious upbringing. There were certain do's and don'ts and blah, blah, blah. You all know the drill. And he thought he was feeling guilty about it. And he said to me one day, he said, I don't think God would want me to do this. And I looked at him and I said, you got to be out of your effing mind. All right? You got to be. You don't think that God wants you to do this. Well, I said, at the moment, I don't give a shit what God thinks. All right? I'm doing it because it feels good and it's going through the body. But anyways, what happened was it bothered him so much that he stopped coming to class, he stopped meditating, and he just basically left it, all right? So that was kind of the first experience, and I could initiate it for an extended period of time. Then what I also found out with a little bit of effort, that I could initiate an orgasm pretty much anywhere that I wanted in my body. All right. And I found that to be extremely a lot of fun. All right. And it was a lot less work. I mean, look at it this way, especially for guys. All right. If you're going to get laid, it's usually a lot of work. All right. I mean, it's a lot of physical activity going on, a lot of movement going on. You know, in some ways it could be very costly for the males and the female in that particular situation. So there are some aspects of the etheric sexual experience that is very beneficial. You don't need condoms. You don't need to worry about birth control. You've no chance of you picking up anything, if anything at all, in the etheric realm. What you will probably pick up with the other person is probably the highest vibration. In other words, to go into the etheric realm, you would have to be in a high vibration to get there. All right. And if you're at the point where you can initiate an orgasm by yourself, then you could connect with someone in that particular perspective, and you could initiate having a shared orgasm with that person, but you would still be in control. You would not be at the whim and the fancy of anybody else. You would be sharing and giving and back and forth. And because it's in the etheric plane, you don't have all of the inhibitions and the restrictions and the belief system and all of the other gobbledygook that they keep ramming down our throats all the time about, you need to do this, you need to behave this way, you need to do that. Or we're protecting our sexuality by whatever means necessary in the way we express, which is also an illusion, because in the etheric planes, there's no particular situation of protecting your sexuality. You just do it in that particular sense, and it's there. So over a period of time, excuse me, over a period of time, what has happened is this, that I've had, excuse me, I've had recently, just to kind of add to the video here, I've had this situation come up several times. As you probably may have figured out, because I've been around a considerable period of time, I actually do know a lot of twin flames, all right? And surprise, surprise, as contrary to popular belief, a lot of them are not in the twin flame community. Actually, some of them are company CEOs, okay? Some of them are in different aspects of the banking industry. Some of them are basic entrepreneurs, okay? They don't even associate with the spiritual community. So anybody who thinks that all the twin flames are in the spiritual community or on Facebook, you got a surprise coming. They're not. They're actually in a lot of places, all right? And I know quite a few of them. I found them over the year. That's nice. What's nice of being around it for about 20 years, all right, is I've got to see and experience a lot of stuff, all right? And recently I've had a couple of them get a hold of me, and they've been together for some years. They're balanced. They're in a balanced union. And I got a call one day from one of them, and they said, Mel, I want to talk to you about something that's been happening lately. As you know, I'm with my twin, and we're really happy, and we're doing the mission format, and it's working out well for us. But I've been having these excursions at night where I'm having these sexual connections with these beings or entities. And what's amazing about it is she was very polite in the way she put it. And she said, I can have the being or the entity make it bigger, make it smaller, make it longer, make it thicker. I can have the being have multiple orgasms with me. I can form my body into whatever shape, if I want a bigger set of boobs or a nicer set of hips. She said, what the form is unlimited as to what you can do. And I said, yes, I know. All right. And she said, it's incredible. She said, and I haven't really told my twin flame yet about what's going on. And I said, don't be surprised if he's doing it also. All right. And she said, she said, I have to tell you, Mel, in all honesty, she said, I'm feeling a bit guilty about this. And I said to her, I said, are you initiating these? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, are you thinking or fantasizing about having sex with someone else? She said, no. I said, well, that means it's happening beyond your awareness and it's happening spontaneously. Yeah, she said, exactly. That's exactly what's happening. She said, but once I get into it, she says, I'm doing all kinds of really wild and weird and creative and fun things. All right. And she told me, I actually like it. And I said to her, I said, you're doing this at I'm not going to call it the higher self level. I'm going to take one step further and call it at the oversoul level. And I said, it's common knowledge. Okay, it's common knowledge on the planet. I think, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, that there's been articles put out by different people that here in the physical, everyone that you sleep with or you have sex with during your lifetime, you carry a piece of that energetic impression with you, all right? So that everyone else that you sleep with picks up the rest of that energy also. So I said to her, if that's the case here in the physical, then what you're doing in the etheric is you are exchanging your experience, your knowledge, your know-how, and your templating that you have achieved in regards to your sexuality, your sexual energy, your sexual templating, but you're not doing it consciously and you're not doing it willfully. You're doing it at a higher oversoul level. So you're exchanging that sexual energetic template with this other person or being in that sense. And that being would be sharing and exchanging and templating with you in regards to his or her sexual energy, whichever may have been the case. And at the same time, you would have been doing transference of knowledge, information, insight, and you would have been doing it through a sexual expression or an excursion. Well, she says, if you say it that way, she said, I feel really good about it. And I said, well, you should. All right. Why is it that people still on this planet are held back in this way? And I'm not talking about a sexual free fall here, people, okay, because that's what some people will think I'm talking about. I am talking about transfers, exchange through a sensual sexual connection, all right? Because when you do this in the etheric plane, this is not like having sex in the physical. And you've actually had to go into the etheric plane at the higher vibration and experience to know exactly what I'm talking about, all right? And this is what is taking place. So the twin flame, all right, felt much better about it. And as a matter of fact, she told her partner, and lo and behold, the partner was having the same thing happen, all right? Now, this is not a one-time thing here, all right, that I'm talking about. I'm talking about having had several people in what I call a real, bona fide twin flame connection having this happen. Now, I'm well aware of the fact that there's going to be some twin flames probably who are probably going to hear me say this, and they're going to say what I'm saying is wrong. You shouldn't be doing that, okay? And I would say to them, come out of your limitations, all right, and get real with what's taking place. We're moving into and changing the whole template of our love relationship and sexuality has to change and evolve. It must move up into the higher realm. And the one thing that I do know is there are individuals right now on the planet who are doing this, all right? And another thing that I know is there are twin flames right now on the planet that are actually taking on all of the, shall we say, negative expressions, the dysfunctional patterns of sexuality that humanity has degraded themselves to, and they're taking it on through their energy field, and they're transmuting it, and then putting it back in to the consciousness of individuals, all right? And this is what is going on. So if you're having these types of experiences, you are probably doing them spontaneously without your conscious awareness, all right? And let me add something else. I doubt very much if there's anybody that's out there that has not at some particular point in time, if they're in a relationship, fantasized about, getting it on with somebody else, all right? This is not what I'm talking about, all right? And anybody who says that they've never fantasized about being with somebody else while they're in a relationship is lying. They're outright lying. Everyone does it sooner or later. All right? Thought about it, seen it, whatever. Everyone. So the idea is that the bottom line is this. When you look at our society today, we have a lot of families or bloodlines that are bringing into the world children that are going to inherit the dysfunctional sexual patterns, okay? Look at it this way. The most prominent one today is what's called pedophile. You've all heard of them. And you look in the news, you can see which religion they seem to be most prominent in, all right? Pedophiles did not just happen. It's taken generations for them to get here, all right? Generations of misaligned, misappropriated sexual energy. That has to change. You can't change it by locking these people up, all right? You can lock them up, but you haven't stopped the template. You have not. You've just locked up the perpetrator, and that's not good enough. You have to break the pattern. Where is that pattern going to be broken? You have to have people who will go into the etheric realms, the higher realm, and actually express creative, sensual, sexual energy without all of the inhibitions, restrictions, and belief systems of conscious awareness that's going to get in the way. All right? And a lot of people are going to have a hard time swallowing that part, literally. All right? But that's happening, and it's going to continue to happen for the next few years until we clean up, all right, a lot of this sexual abuse that's going on, and a lot of, look, let's be honest here. How many of you out there, and myself included, have been involved in a relationship where there's sexual manipulation going on, okay, or control issues going on, and it all defined by sexuality, all right? And it's still defined that way in many cases in our society. And it's that has produced our society that now has all kinds of manifestations in the physical. Look at it this way. You may not believe this, folks, but a lot of the physical ailments, diseases that we have a core point of reference. It is misaligned, misappropriated, and flowing sexual energy that is not flowing through the body in a blissful, balanced phase in that sense. So we need that template, and that template is going to happen by twin flames and those all other people in the community, spiritual community, who have reached that level of conscious awareness and energy use to move into these planes and experience that sensual, sexual reality and experience it to the highest order. And I can assure you, there's much more that we can gain from it as we go along. So we don't need to titter and laugh and make silly remarks and comments about it, because I think we need to understand that it has to grow and evolve. Because if our relationships are going to change, definitely our concepts of sexuality need to change with it, and it needs to happen fast. Because every day now, the misalignment of sexuality in our world is getting worse and worse, and it's going to stop, and it's going to shift, and it's going to shift by moving sensual sexual experiences into the etheric realm through these experiences that are going on that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about orgies or orgies, whatever. I'm not talking about swingers. I'm talking about changing the template. And that's what some people are doing. And this will and can happen with other people besides your twin flame. And I don't care who argues the point with me. All right? It's happening now. I know it's happening now. And it's going to continue, excuse me, for an extended period of time. And I think I'll leave it there at this particular point. I'm trying to shorten the videos a little bit in that perspective. I don't want anybody to fall asleep on me. All right. Okay, take care, everyone. Have a great day.